Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on Fabiano Caruana's Powerhouse Chess. It was described this way by commentators, grandmasters Yasser Saran, Jennifer Shahade and Maurice Ashley during the 2018 US Championships after the game that Caruana played in round 2 against Grandmaster Caruana-Lenderman. As I'm recording this video, the US Championships is still in progress, so I'm not able to tell you the end result, but this game that I want to show you was played in round 2, and it was played on the 19th of April 2018. White was Fabiano Caruana, the challenger of world champion Magnus Carlsen, and black was Caruana-Lenderman. E4 was played by Caruana, and Lenderman played the French. D4, D5, Knight C3, the main move against the French, Bishop B4, E5, Bishop B4 pins the Knight, so black was threatening to take on E4, E5 from Caruana, C5, A3, asking the bishop what he wants to do, and bishop takes C3 check is the main move. B takes, and here knight E7 is the main move, but Lenderman plays queen A5, also a move that has been played many times before. Bishop D2, protecting the C3 pawn, queen A4, and queen to G4 from Caruana, threatening to take on G7 and then on H8. Here G6 is the main move, but Lenderman plays king F8. He had prepared this move. And now a big surprise for Lenderman. The main move here is to play the queen back. Alexander Grishuk has played this move, Sergei Karyakin and also Cheparinov, the Bulgarian grandmaster. They all played that move and I found games of them in the database. But here Caruana did not play the queen back, he played H2 to H4. Lenderman in his interview after the game said he had never seen this move before, and also that the computer does not show it. Lenderman was hoping to improve on a game Caruana-Naroditsky from the US Championships from 2017, but Caruana was clearly first with his novelty. Caruana said after the game that he had spotted this move, which was played in a correspondence game, while he was reading an article in the New in Chess yearbook in bed. He saw the move, he did not see any other analysis, but because it was played in a high-level correspondence game, he thought it must be a good move, and he decided to go for it, hoping that Lenderman did not know this move, because Caruana said he was on his own here, had no preparation, had no variations ready. Interesting to hear how a top grandmaster stumbles on such an idea and plays it in an important game. He might not play it in his match against Carlsen if he had not prepared it more thoroughly. Knight C6 from Lenderman, developing. The pawn went to H5. And here it's important to note that knight takes E5, which looks very strong, wins a pawn, because you cannot take the pawn because then your queen is hanging. So knight takes E5 looks like a good move, but it's not. I give a variation that international master Gert Lichterink gives in his newspaper article. He gives the move queen F4, attacking the knight. And if the knight then goes back to C6, there is queen D6 check. You can interpose the knight. And then H6, as Lichterink writes. So that's maybe why Lenderman did not go for this variation. This is good for white. So after H5 he did not take the pawn on E5. He played H6. Now the queen went back to D1. And here, as Caruana explained afterwards, B6 is the best way to play for black. Knight F3 and bishop A6. Caruana said black has to swap the light square's bishops, otherwise he will get run over. So that was the way to play for black. But Lenderman makes a mistake, And he also acknowledged after the game that indeed c takes d4 as he played was not a good move. Now the white bishops get a lot of space. White is already much better here. Knight f3 from Caruana, sacrificing a pawn, and Lenderman took it. He maybe should have developed with knight ge7, but he decided to take the pawn. As Grandmaster Sarah once said in a live broadcast, back to bad moves, and now all white's pieces will blossom. And we'll see that this is a very nice game. Caruana took back with the bishop, and now there is a threat. The threat is rook h4, and that is actually winning the queen. If you look at the queen, it doesn't have any squares. All these squares are covered by white's pieces. So the queen is in danger of being trapped there on a4. Lenderman decided to play g5 to keep the h4 square under control. Another option is to play back the knight to give the queen some squares. Knight d8 was an option, but then knight d4 is a good move, and if then the queen drops back, white has all the time in the world to prepare an attack against black's king. So g5 was the option. Caruana also said afterwards that he didn't see any other move to keep the game going. But it must have been a painful move to make for Lenderman, because it's not really a move you want to play in this position, as it gives white a chance to open up the position, and his pieces are a lot better than black's. Caruana took en passant, queen e4 check to win that pawn back on g6, bishop e2, and queen takes. And as we see now, the queen, who was in trouble on a4, now also will get in trouble on g6. Let's have a look. Queen d2 from Caruana, knight ge7, you have to develop your king side. And bishop d3, attacking the queen. And here, Lenderman took on g2, and as Lichtring writes, he probably resigned himself to losing this game. He might have tried queen g7 instead, but then Caruana said he was going to castle queenside, and after a developing move bishop d7, then there is rook h3, and this is an overwhelming position for white. Caruana said in the interview afterwards that he saw many nice variations, and he showed one of them. You can also, instead of taking on g2 or playing queen g7, you can also play knight f5 here to interpose the knight so that your queen is no longer hanging. But then there is bishop b4 check, and as Caruana showed, you cannot take that bishop, because if you take, that's a blunder, because of queen takes b4 check, and now the threat is g4, winning a piece because of the pin. Black's in check, king e8, and then g4 picks up the knight on f5. So after knight f5, bishop b4 check, you cannot take. You can play king e8, but Caruana said that he would have castled here, and then also white is winning according to Caruana, and the engine agrees. So back to the game. Bishop d3 was played, hitting the queen. No knight f5, no queen g7, but queen takes g2 by Lenderman. Attacking the rook on h1, king e2. Threatening now rook a g1, winning the queen. Queen went to g4, and now you have different options. You can play rook a g1 anyway, and then the queen will flee to a4, and then there is rook takes h6, rook takes, queen takes check, king e8, and bishop b2, and again white has an overwhelming position. But after queen g4, Caruana did not play rook a g1. He wanted to keep harassing black's queen, and he played rook h4. Lenderman dropped the queen back to g7. Black's queen is in big trouble. Now rook g1, protected by the knight. Knight g6 interposing, and a beautiful move, rook f4. Very nice move. Caruana is allowing his opponent to take that rook with check. Knight takes f4 is check, so white does not have time to take the queen on g7, but after queen takes f4, it turns out that black's queen has no squares and will get lost on the next move. Very nice move, rook f4 from Caruana. Knight ce7 was played by Lenderman, and bishop b4, a move at the other side of the board, another beautiful move from Caruana. Look at all those pins. This knight is pinned to the bishop, this knight is pinned to the rook, and also the pawn is pinned to that rook. And if black tries to unpin his pieces with king e8, that doesn't work either, because of bishop takes e7, king takes, queen b4 check, king back, bishop b5 check, bishop interposes, bishop takes check, king takes, and queen takes check. The king has to go to the back rank, and then queen takes a8 check. We'll win that rook and we'll win the game for whites. So after bishop b4, Lenderman played a5, but here we have the last move of the game. Rook takes g6, and Lenderman immediately resigned even before Caruana could press the clock. I have a picture of that in a second. Black resigned. Why did he resign? White has just taken a knight, and you cannot take back because it's protected by the bishop. That doesn't work. You cannot take with the knight as it is pinned, and you can also not take with the pawn as it is pinned. So all you can do is step aside with your queen, queen h7, but then bishop takes e7 check, king takes, and you just play your rook back, for example to g3, and again the black queen is checkmated. It has no squares and will be lost on the next move. A nice comment from Lenderman. He said, "Chess is a humbling game," and he was indeed humbled in this game. A very sporty comment from Alexander Lenderman after this game, which really must have hurt him. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, the commentators called Caruana's win Powerhouse Chess. Indeed, very, very nice game. This is the moment of resignation. Caruana has just played rook takes g6. You see the rook there. He has not pressed the clock yet. Lenderman already extends his hand in resignation with a smile on his face. And this is very happy Fabiano Caruana explaining the game in the live broadcast. Hope you enjoyed this game. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel. Please leave a comment. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.